What's up, mediums? Welcome to another episode of Live here on Keystroke Medium. I am Josh Hayes here with Scott Moon and Chuck Manley.
Hello.
Yo. As is tradition on KSM, we've had some horrible technical difficulties today. And for the time being, while Chuck is pounding on his desk, we're going to probably have to postpone. Now look at him. Call out.
No pleasing you.
We're probably going to have to postpone the interview with Bill because he's having really bad. There's the pin. He's having really bad connection issues. So we'll tweak the title after the show and revisit that at a later time when we can work out the issues.
But here's the really important question.
Yes.
Are we still going to be graced with the presence of Miss Kalene?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. Kalene is doing morning errands that she could not avoid, so she will be here shortly. On a slightly interesting note, Rick Partlow did not receive the KSM Golf Clap of Appreciation today.
What?
This
is he okay?
This honor is now bestowed to Charlie Dunn, who is in Iowa today.
You got to get up early in the morning to beat a Rick Partlow.
Yeah. Brandon Schuss is in the house. Hello, Lou Holston. Welcome. Let's see who else is in here today. Jay Clifton Slater. There. Look, Rick is packing. He's packing for his Yellowstone trip.
Oh, that's not what I thought when you said packing. I thought.
Corey Gillum is here. Lauren Morris here. Hello, welcome to the show, Brian Mansur. Gonna have to miss most of this. Sadly, that's very sad. Everyone, let's be sad with Brian.
It is sad.
Bacchus Gamer, is that how I pronounce that? Bacchus Gamer is here. Going to be a fun one. I may not be able to watch live. That's all right. We have an audio. We have an audio version as well. Speaking of which, if you're listening on the audio version, you didn't know we did a live show every morning. Also, if you need some coffee to get woken up in the morning, Keystroke Coffee is where it's at. I'm telling you right now. Writer's Block is my favorite coffee of all time. I'm drinking Writer's Block right now. KeyStrokeMedium.com/coffee. Pick yourself up a bag. It's super cheap. And then you can have writer's block just like me.
Rick says he's packing as he's packing.
He's also packing.
He must be a carry concealed state for sure.
That's right.
I also was giving a hard time because he's going to Yellowstone, and I brought up the what was the
Yogi Bear?
Yogi Bear, my favorite cartoon growing up.
Hey, boo-boo, you want to go steal some picnic baskets?
The picnic baskets. That's actually Jellystone. He corrected me, but I would go to Jellystone.
I'd go to Jellystone.
I would go there.
I just wouldn't take any picnic baskets.
No. Or you keep them on a tight leash, and then you'd be packing so you could defend them if they try to take them.
That's right. Barda today, welcome. Good morning. Hello. He said there's a live show. Why didn't somebody tell me?
That's classic.
Charlie Dunn says he's waiting on K-Cups to come out. Are we doing that?
There is an option to do K-Cups. I'm still trying to figure it out. Actually, Ken Britt sent me a link the other day. I'm going to bring this up because apparently you can have regular bagged coffee in a K-Cup. So
they're little. I've got a couple of them.
If you have gadgets.
it's the like an
conversion
adapter
kit or something.
Yeah,
it's an adapter. That's what
basically it's a refillable K-Cup, and you put regular coffee in it, stick it in the thing, and it does its deal.
Yeah. So he sent me this link. It's like $13 on Amazon.
Yeah, I've got a couple of them. They work pretty well.
Check it out. You can get our coffee and put it in the K-Cup if you're interested.
Or waiting for the official K-Cups. Silent Wolf's in the house. Morning, boys and girls. It says.
Morning, Silent Wolf. Let's see. Do you have an update on the pods for coffee? I'm a convenience guy. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
I put a link in the chat. I've already done the work for you. You can get that conversion cup and have some writer's block in your K-Cup.
Charlie says he can't use those in the truck. I could see that.
Sure.
It would be tough. It would be tough to fill those in the driving and stuff.
Get a KSM truckers blend.
That's what we need.
We should.
Bard says my audio's off and it's super weird. That's because my live personality is actually in the future.
Yes.
And my voice is trying to catch up. That's the speed of my voice is.
The speed of your personality defies the space-time continuum.
Let's
put more flex in the capacitor.
Well, my flux capacitor is always on point. Let's talk about updates. Scott, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I am finishing edits on Orphan Wars 2, which is going to betas today, I believe. I'm working on edits for Blue Sun Armada, which is going to be it's on pre-order for for May 26th.
I was going to say you're late.
Oopsies. Yeah, and then working on outlining. Well, I'm writing on Orphan Wars 3 and Blue Sun Armada 2, which is called Crisis, and I started using Plottr because I'm back and forth on that kind of love-hate.
Yes.
A lot of fiery emotions with me and Plottr.
More hate than love.
Right. Yeah. And but I've started working on it for what right now I'm calling Reaper Revenant, which is going to be the next installment of the last Reaper series, as a whole nother series, but it'll dovetail right into the first one very nicely. You can start at either point, the way it's going to be set up, but it's really cool. I'm really liking it, and I'm very excited to write some more Reaper stuff. So hopefully people will like that. Other than that, you've done yard work, trying to get caught up at work. Work is crazy, stupid, busy. Not so much the calls, but like all the admin stuff. And we're doing a new records management system, which basically means every single police officer in the department has to learn everything completely from scratch. So as far as report writing,
efficient.
Yeah, report writing, evidence submission, everybody starts at zero. So that's been fun. And, Josh knows how I do with new software and technology. So just imagine that.
I think we all do, Scott.
Yeah, just take about 650 commissioned law enforcement officers with similar attitudes towards technology as mine. And just imagine the swear words that are flying around at that. So,
but has anyone actually shot a computer yet, though? That's what
so several people have actually resigned. They're like, I'm done. Bye.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they literally walked out of the class. It was that confusing.
Wow.
Good morning, Kalene.
Hi, Kalene. Good morning. Welcome to the Monday morning time.
I know. I'm still sleeping.
She's classing it up for us. You get some.
Kalene, you need a glass of writer's block to wake you up. We were just talking about that earlier.
I do. I also need the Doom one.
Oh, the roast of doom, the French roast.
That is.
Apparently, there's something you have to do with French roast that I'm not all about. I don't know how to do. Like I had it. It was. I guess it's a really. I need to bring Walt in here. Look, Walt's going to watch this, and I'm going to describe what the taste is like, and then he's going to send me a message later.
Unfriend you and block you on Facebook.
Completely worthless coffee. Roast of doom had a very smoky taste to it. I get the French roast has some. I don't know. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong. It's French.
You just have to use more tongue. That's all.
Now, come on now.
Hey, it had to descend at some point.
I was.
We made it 8 minutes and 42 seconds into the show.
Yeah, I was gonna make a comment about rifles not, never used on sale or something, but
true.
But we went straight for the whatever.
And on that note, Chuck, feel free to give your tongue update today as well.
Yeah. Have you been making out?
I swear to God, I'm going to get a rim shot sound and just play it every night.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Just about zooming in on the end of Jack Dark 2. I started using Plottr to plot out Jack Dark 3. I like Plottr. I mean, it's a little bit of a learning curve and adjusting to the new stuff, but I like trying the new stuff. And my grandkids came up and visited this weekend, so I got bupkis done over the weekend. But
changed a diaper, I hear.
I changed a couple of diapers and spent some time with my youngest grandchildren, and was informed by my wife and daughter that I have forgotten how to make a baby stop crying. Apparently I've lost those skills.
I just stopped caring.
I thought the two of us were getting along fine, but they
I thought he was laughing.
They disavowed me of that idea.
But one of the greatest things about being a grandparent is once that happens, you just go.
That's it. I'm like, fine, take them. Love you, kid.
Have them back.
Got them all warmed up for you.
That's right.
Enjoy your next 5 sleepless nights.
I got him to the peak of the problem. You can handle it from here.
Way to go, Chuck. Way to go.
Yeah. Strong work.
The granddad game is strong. But yeah, and I've got a couple of little side projects that I've been playing around in Plottr with, and yeah, just doing my thing. Nice. What about you, Scott?
Scott just
I
went.
already went.
You went? Oh, you did win. Josh, I'm sorry.
Mine was very memorable.
Look,
it was pretty good.
I may have Irished up my coffee this morning.
Now, honestly, does anybody even listen to Scott when he gives his updates?
I'm pretty sure my thing says I'm on mute. I don't really know.
I don't.
Bart of today says you're the grandfather of valor for the crying baby of valor.
Crying baby of valor.
Let's see my update. I finished using Plottr last week to plot out my first Savage Star book, which is not Savage Star anymore. And
did you
now
come up with another title?
No,
Savage Star, not Savage Star.
Yeah, that's what I should do. I should buy the URL of that.
You should just change it to Savaged. Put a D on the end.
Yeah,
Savage Stars.
Savage Stars.
Yeah, so I'll see even Scott agrees. Nobody listens to Scott.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true.
I've been doing that, and I bought a new. I don't know if this was a waste of time
Truck.
or money.
Boat.
House.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just putting on a list of the things you bought last time.
Yeah. I got Steve Bollier recommended I get this because I like handwriting notes so much. It's called a Remarkable. And
did you get the Remarkable?
I got the Remarkable.
Thank you so much. I've been trying.
And I got
amazing?
the Remarkable 2 pencil.
Is it cool?
It is amazing.
I'm gonna try and see if I can add.
I kind of want one.
Patterson down here.
He switched his phone.
He's here.
Getting back.
But yes. is it awesome? Like you can be my test puppet now.
The Remarkable is very awesome, and not only that, but it recognizes about 97% of what I'm typing. Oh, now he's sideways. I'm going to mute you for just a minute, Bill, while you get settled. So it says that it writes like paper, and it pretty much does write like paper. And you get this little pen, and apparently you have to buy different tips because the tips wear out. But I got the pencil with the eraser, so I can write.
Yeah.
You write really angrily too. Did you get that on Amazon or straight from their site, or where'd you pick it up?
Straight from their website.
But from what I can tell, they only sell it themselves right now. So.
Yeah, but I do most of my outlining and planning on paper, and so now I can do all of that, and then this transfers handwriting into text.
Into text.
Editable.
So you can like transfer it into like a doc file or a Scrivener file or whatever.
Like you do your chicken scratch, and it literally turns it into like you just typed it on the computer, and then you can send it to your computer, and then be like, "Here's my document. I'm going to do my stuff."
There should be a link in the chat for that. I'm just saying.
So let's see. I wrote KSM 42621 hard sci-fi notes and callbacks on that. You can't see it, but then you can you hit this thing, convert to text. It takes a couple of seconds to work, and then it puts it into
That's
text.
awesome.
They're not cheap. What are we looking at? I'm flipping to the website right now.
Yeah, they're it's like $3.99 just for the unit, and then the pencil is $100, and then I got the little folio that goes with it. There's actually 2 pencils you can get.
So
this one has
3 and 5 depending on what you.
Yeah, there's a pencil you can get that has an eraser and a pencil that doesn't have an eraser, and so I'm
pretty sure I can move my kids back to 2 meals a day, and then
I know
they won't mind on my Christmas list this year.
It's very cool, and you can do drawings or schematics or whatever and upload those as PDFs, and so it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
I haven't played with it a super lot because I've already done all the plotting I needed to do for this month, so I haven't used a lot of. I've messed with it a little bit, but it's really cool. Kind of pricey, but really cool. What else? I made it.
The first Kindles were $200 or $300.
That's true, and it looks like a Kindle.
And then a couple of years later, they're super cheap.
I'm gonna tell you something. 10 years from now, that's gonna be the standard in schools and stuff. I mean, that's we're just moving away from paper in general.
Yeah. So I made it about 5 chapters into Savage Stars, not Savage Stars, doing a lot of transcription, and then bringing that into the project, and that's working very well. My goal was to do the book 100% as a dictated project, But as I'm working through one of the chapters right now, I'm actually typing a lot more than just editing it. I'm adding a whole bunch of stuff in. So it's probably going to be about like 70% transcribed and then 30% typed. We'll see. But coming along really well. I'm going to kick back up on Tranquility this week, book 2 with Devin C. Ford. We're going to start the editing, rewriting process this week. And then I need to jump back into Gods of Fire and get that project fired off to yeah. So no, that's just me. That's my updates. What about you, Kalene?
Very concise.
Yeah. All my thoughts are like bing, 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 all over the place.
Well, at the beginning of April, I had 10 projects between clients and personal on the plate.
Child.
I have since knocked out 6 of them, plus an extra 2 that showed up. So it ended up being 12 projects. So yeah. So that's why I had to stop story time. I just had no time. No time
for
story. I thought about trying that. Doing a reading. I thought that might be fun.
It's good stuff. I'm gonna start it back up in May. And with Bill Patterson down there, I'm super excited. With the next Moe's, I'm gonna unmute you. Can I do that? Haha, I have the power.
Kalene has the power.
With the Moe's anthologies, I got invited on to be one of the editors, and so I'm super excited about that.
Cool.
And yes, so that's my update. Is an insane tornado amount of. Thankfully, I have a whiteboard, so I don't forget anything.
I used to have the biggest whiteboard ever, and then I never used it.
My granddaddy always said it's better to have too much work than not enough.
True.
Actually, that is true. It's let's see, January, February, in March. I'm like, man, I have like these 2 things I need to do, and I just would keep like procrastinating. You know, I'd do them, but not as much as I should. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, here's 2 more things, here's 3 more things, and I'm just like, okay, yep, nope, we're on it. And then now I'm getting all the things done. It's weird.
Nice. Yeah. Well, Bill, welcome finally to the show.
Finally,
glad we got it all worked out.
No, you know what? I'm on my smartphone. All my computer tech failed me.
Hey. Been there, done that. Yeah,
we've all
way to go.
Yeah.
Hey, I really appreciate you having me on. And,
sure.
Just a short why it took me so damn long to get in here. I retired in February, and I still have a lot of like firewall software and things like that left over from my employer. But since I'm moving 700 miles south here because the wife doesn't like the snow, but I'll be moving in a month, it just didn't seem worthwhile to tear it all out and redevelop everything. So, here I am. And the laptop that Kalene and I used to work with, for teleconferencing and everything, its motherboard shorted out last week, or the week before, and I haven't been able to replace it. So I got all this old crap that just can't seem to handle the live stream stuff. So I eventually defaulted down to the phone. So I apologize for the poor video.
No worries.
It's actually pretty clear, and you sound good.
Yeah, you sound good.
But it looks like I'm holding a flashlight under my chin. So.
Well, you do kind of have that horror story by the campfire thing going,
which we like here. It's one of our favorite looks. We've had people do phones in cars, in parking lots, and just all kinds of crazy places. So it's kind of a tradition.
Trying to deliver quality to the people.
Yeah, it's definitely a tradition.
The on stakeout interview with Nick Cole is probably one of the
yes.
That's the staple of our program.
Yeah, it was a good one. For sure.
I've
now
got
that you're here,
3 hours until I got to go to the dentist. So, let's use up as much of it as we can.
Nice. Why don't you give us a rundown on who you are as an author and what you've written, and then here a little bit we'll talk about the anthologies.
Well, thank you. I started writing actually back when I was in college, but I had about a 25-year interregnum there before I actually decided to sit down and write a novel. I started in 2003, and I got about 5 chapters in, and that didn't work. And then I tried again in 2005, and that didn't work either. You get to the point where you write the first chapter and you buff it and you polish it and you make it all wonderful. And then after about 2 months worth of work, you say, hey, I don't want to start there. I need to start somewhere else. And so after a lot of that, you get discouraged. But I discovered National Novel Writing Month in 2007 and finally finished that first novel. And it was just, to me, it seemed super easy. Tried it again in 2008 and I failed miserably. And I realized, hey, you can't just sit down and spit these novels out. And it took me a while. And I really only started trying to get my work out, and I tried to do it traditionally in 2011. And I got 2 short stories put into traditional anthologies, and I was actually nominated for the British Science Fiction Award for one of my nonfiction pieces, which made me really happy, and that was a great validation piece. And then I just stalled. And in 2015, a good friend of mine, became a good friend of mine, introduced me to Sam Peralta and his Chronicles anthologies. He did about 20 of those. He picked me up. He picked me up for the Paradisi Chronicles anthology, and I was extremely excited about that. And I ended up getting pole position on that one, which, again, at the time, you never realize what a big deal that is. It is a big deal, and that one actually did very well. In fact, it's going on the Lunar Codex mission to the moon.
Very cool.
I'm excited for that.
And
the first volume of Moses on there too.
There's an interesting story to that too. Yeah. There really is. Sam Peralta recently posted that he had to create a form letter to keep turning down people that wanted to get on Codex. But there I was, doing my thing, and one day this message popped up, says, Bill, please send me the Moses Anthology Volume 1 anthology. Please send that, like, as soon as possible. And it was the day that the chips had to get put into FedEx to make it down to KSC or Astrobiotech or whatever. It was the one that had to go out of his hands. So Mose barely got in there, and only because Sam reached out and asked me to do it, which surprised the devil out of me. I mean,
is that the Megastructures anthology?
That's the Megastructures one.
So what's interesting about that, I tried to find it on Amazon, and it's only listed in ebook. Was there, or not ebook, paperback? Is there an ebook?
Paperback.
Yeah.
Now, interesting how that works, and it all has to do with rights. Okay, and so what I ask from the authors is exclusive publishing rights for the ebook, and we run for 4 months, and at the end of that, the ebook gets unpublished and the paperback gets published. Okay, so in Volume 1, it took us about a month after the ebooks ended before we were able to put paperback on there. Now, the whole purpose for version 1 was to build the mailing list. So that's what we did. We got about 1,600 addresses out of that, which was really great. So we published that as an ebook. It was never on Amazon. We distributed through BookFunnel. And at the end of the 4 months, we unpublished it. And created the paperback and put it out there. And that was my very first paperback. I never paperbacked my novels. I suppose I should, and I'll probably get around to doing that, but they really don't make a whole lot of money. So
right.
There you are. But of course, you got to have the paperback so you can put them onto your bookshelf behind me.
Exactly. You've got to fill up the vanity shelf.
That's true.
What paperbacks are for.
I haven't gotten it. Hey, you know what? I have to tell you that I couldn't wait to get out of my previous job, and I think that was a giant open secret. So for me, it was, once I'm out of there, it's get out of where I live now and move down south, just because the wife's not into snowstorms or anything. So to me, that's been my focus. And I've got 4 novels out there. I've got 3 novellas and a smattering of short stories. And a lot of my stuff is in anthologies. So that's kind of what I've written. I write primarily hard science fiction, but I have a soft spot for long con stories. So I've got a couple of grifter novellas out there.
Cool.
And I wrote some more in Paradisi. And so those are really the 3 main things that I've got out there.
And have you always been interested in the hard sci-fi? I mean, we'll get into kind of the definition and what the anthologies kind of focus on. But hard sci-fi, I think sometimes it kind of gets a bad rap, because a lot of people think hard sci-fi and they're like, it apps that you can't write about stuff that just could not, it has to be able to happen, like physically and all that stuff. Of course, then you watch the Expanse, which a lot of people talk about the Expanse as being hard sci-fi, and I get that these ships and stuff are built around that concept, but the vomit zombies and Stargates and all that definitely is not hard sci-fi. So give us your take on it.
Well, it's easier for me to talk about what the Moe's take is, and
what's Moe's stand for?
The reason I call it Moe's, no, that was the guy's name. There's actually he was a mineralogist, and he had the Mohs scale of hardness, which is actually a real life thing, and that's where diamond is 10 and talc is 1, and it was a way to categorize minerals as to how hard they are.
Gotcha.
And his name is Mohs, Mohs, and no apostrophe. Okay, so it's Mohs scale of hardness. Well, TVtropes.com created something called the Mohs scale of science fiction hardness. And 6 is reality, and 5 is something like one small lie. Okay, so 5.5, we try to keep it as close to what could possibly happen as possible, and I'll let you have a small lie. Okay, so for example, if you're firing lasers in space, you better not be able to see them. Okay, right. That's sort of reality, and that's what we aim for. Now, I get a great story, and there's not a small lie, but maybe a kind of semi-big one. Depending on how good it is, I'll let it slide. But if you take a look at our Mars anthology, which currently is out there in ebook, most of that stuff could happen. And I probably have one of the largest lies in my story, where in my story on that anthology, it postulates that petabyte storage could actually enclose a human brain, and they say that the human brain actually is like 1 to 2 petabytes, and the big lie is that we can encode that, and we can't right now. So I'm the publisher, and I'm the guy that makes the biggest lie. But
some of us have pretty simple code, because my code just says have coffee. That's all the whole code for my brain.
But it's plausible.
Yeah, but even hard science fiction is still fiction. So you've got to, in my personal opinion, hard science fiction is science fiction with much more of a focus on reality, but you still have to have those what if elements that kind of pull the reader in and make it entertaining. Otherwise, in my experience, the hard sci-fi I read back in the 80s, it's almost like you're reading a textbook, especially if you get a writer who likes to do the info dumps behind the science and stuff. So I think you need those little lies, don't you?
That is really a temptation. Like one of the stories that I wrote required me to figure out when Venus and Earth are on opposite sides of the sun the first week of May. And it was one of my grifter stories.
Wow.
And it's like, when the hell's that going to happen? Well, the answer is 2136 and 2144. It happens twice. But you did so much work. The temptation is to wow the reader with how much work you did to figure this thing out.
Right.
And you got, as an author, you've got to resist that. You've got to give them the freshman high school explanation in less than a paragraph or two.
Right. They say you should never put more than 10% of what you actually know, research or developed into a story.
Yeah,
but I think it's probably
approach.
I think it's less than that. I watched a keynote speech from Patrick Rothfuss, of all people, years ago, back when he still wrote books. But he said that he only used 4% of his world building in the actual story. Yeah. But he did it, and it apparently shows now he does massive amounts of world building that will never go into the book. But I think that would be the same thing with like your research in science, is you can't put everything you know in there unless you're writing into another astrophysicist or something.
Right. I mean, you've got to know it because it feeds into your character's unconscious assumptions. But to info dump it, that's the worst thing you can do. And especially if you have a character that says, well, as you know.
As you know.
Starts dumping.
The best writing ever.
You should never write that.
Yeah.
So one thing, okay, so in the first one, the megastructures, I built a prison around a black hole. So like you'd think, why could that ever be possible? Well, that was my big lie, was the fact that it could be possible.
Nice.
to have a prison around the black hole, because, the death sentence, they just would, push them beyond the event horizon. So they're just beyond that ring. So that's like all of my hard science is making sure that all of that is relative to what the characters are in. Like I'm making use of the black hole by getting rid of them. My character was, sitting there having her thought moment and describing the way that we understand how matter is going into the black hole, how it looks like it's like slowing down and it just sort of like stops and hovers there. And so like through her thoughts, that's where I put my information. So rather than it being an info dump, it was actually the character's understanding of this real science through an interesting way. So it's the hard science doesn't have to be, textbook. You can also, put it into an actual narrative.
I mean, that's the right way to do it. I was just commenting on the fact that, like Bill was saying, some people want to put, it's almost like they want to say, look how smart I am, look how much work I did.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that, and which I understand, if you put as much time into researching this stuff as we often do, you kind of want credit for that, but that kills the entertainment value of what you're trying to write. So
Brian
I think you got to have those little lies to keep it entertaining.
Brian Mentor in the chat says, my personal approach is to let the hard science put the constraints on the story. Some explanation may be required, but I always ask myself, will my audience care?
That's the great way to do it, I think.
What I think it's interesting is, as you guys were talking about like the info dumping on hard sci-fi, my immediate thought went to the Honor Harrington series with David Weber, and his are absolutely not hard science fiction, but the info dumps in the technology that he developed almost makes it seem like it is. Because of the technology he based around.
He's the Tom Clancy of sci-fi.
Yeah.
I mean, he really gets into the technical aspects, and he's long-winded. We know this.
Let's talk about the show sponsor this week. This week it is Something No One Knows, a time-traveling sci-fi mystery by Josh Gayou, who is a sometime guest host here on KSM. I'll get the link here. Let me copy and paste. It's in the live chat. It'll be in the show notes as well, thanks to Ken Britz. Something No One Knows, from the award-winning author of the Commune series and All Gifts Bestowed, comes this mind-bending new time travel novel. As a high school sophomore, Aidan Kelly's biggest problem should be his failing grades, his abusive father, being a self-proclaimed loner, or getting pummeled by the football team. Instead, Aiden's number one dilemma is a guy named Tony, a senior who seems to know all sorts of things that should be impossible to know. Oh, and he may also be a sociopath. So, no big deal. When Aiden crosses Tony's path in the vice principal's office, they form a mysterious connection, and only Tony knows the truth about it. But as their friendship grows, the strings of destiny tying their lives together slowly begins to unravel with deadly consequences. Now, Aiden must decide which is worse, to return to his degenerate loner existence or experience the friendship of a lifetime where one of them might not survive. With a heavy foot grounded in realism, the characters that leap out of the audio, something knows no one is perfect for fans of the QA, Sense 8, and the butterfly effect of Doom. That is Something No One Knows by Josh Gayou. The link's in the live chat. It'll be in the show notes. Go check it out. It's on sale right now for $4.99 on Amazon. And Josh Gayou is a phenomenal author, so check him out. Support that. Okay, so let's talk about these anthologies that we've been kind of dancing around a little bit. Which one is going to the moon now? Is that Megastructures?
No, we're on Mars.
Mars.
Yeah. Megastructures was the first one.
Yeah,
and it was all about Megastructures minus Ringworld. And I'll tell you the editor Udunjaya Wijeratne. He's actually one of the Forbes 30 under 30.
I saw that.
He's an interesting guy.
Dude.
He's making big waves in the sci-fi community for sure.
He graciously asked to, or we approached him to edit it, and he agreed. That was a very special kind of publishing that we did through BookFunnel, and he basically formed because he and I and a couple of other folks sat down and said, you know what? Not a lot of science fiction around that is hard, that is science, and we, being guys that live in the real world and really enjoyed working with that sort of stuff, we wanted to see more of that. And so we formed an anthology. The first one, nobody got paid. All we were doing was getting emails, email addresses for the author newsletters. And we conceived of it as a way to showcase new authors, which was a good thing, and as a way to jumpstart some of those new authors as indie authors. And so we got a bunch of news, or we got the stories in, and we edited them. Actually, Yuta did the editing.
He did awesome.
I did the compilation and publishing, and collected the emails and sent them all out to everybody. Everyone's got their rights back, and some of them have actually been republished. And after that, Yuta, being an exceptionally busy guy, basically said, I can't do this. And we had, I'm sorry, it's another gentleman with a very long name, and I am having a senior moment here. And although I worked with him for months, I can't remember his name right now. It's annoying me. But he also bowed out, so it was just me left. And Felix Savage, who many of you may know, he and I teamed up, and I brought in a friend of mine, Dan Dominguez, and we edited Mars. And one of the things we did after we got a bunch of stories is we realized, hey, we've got this mission going off to Mars, and guess what? The Chinese do, and so did, believe it or not, the United Arab Emirates. So there were 3 missions going off to Mars at the same time. And of course, Ingenuity, the helicopter, and I keep trying to say Curiosity, but that's not it. The rover on the surface right now. They're waiting to have the helicopter show finish before they can actually go out and do regular science. So we decided to time the launch with the arrival of the mission, Pathfinder, I believe. Yeah. No, it's not Pathfinder. I'm sorry. Again, boy.
All the words. That's what I do.
I know all this stuff until the camera turns on. You know how that goes? Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, we had this anthology, we put it together, and it's doing very well. I will say that when we went out there and said, hey, come and submit, we got a lot of pushback from the traditional people that go, oh, indie, ew, and oh, anthologies never make money. They're not great money makers, but hey, they pay. I'm going to be sending out checks to the authors here on the 1st of May, so I ought to know. And we need just a little bit more to hit my internal goal for the anthology. I mean, this is kind of the size of checks I wanted to send to the authors, but I'm pretty happy about it all. And it's all word of mouth. And we were doing this relatively shoestring. One of the authors was kind enough to generate the, frankly, kick-ass cover. I'm really happy with the cover. All the editing was done between Felix and I, and Dan. We all edited together. And that was great. And let me talk about that for a second, because, Felix's great strength was developmental. He could see the stories different than I did. I saw them, I was doing the science, because Felix actually asks me science questions. And so I'm his science advisor. So I edited it from the science point of view. I edited, did a lot of the line editing too. And Felix did the developmental. Felix, of course, has his own career to work on, and so he is not going to be on Volume 3. He asked to take a leave on that, and I needed a developmental editor, and so that's why Kalene's editing. And Kalene's been with us since the beginning. She was in Volume 1 and 2, and she's now the editor of Volume 3.
It's the perfect number to come on. It's my favorite number.
Mine too.
Kalene does phenomenal work editing, not strictly just from an author coming, but as a producer of anthologies. We've worked with Kalene before, and it's just fantastic work.
I'm looking forward to it, and I suspect that I too will come away from her editing of my stories, claw marks all over me.
That would be awesome. I would love to be able to do that.
I think you're marginally more safer with Kalene than you would be with Ellen.
Exactly what I was thinking.
I've had Ellen edit one of my stories.
Claws versus knives, 6 of one, half dozen of another.
Just how deep do you want the cut to go?
That's right.
What it comes down to.
I mean, that's why I keep this baby on my desk.
That's right.
Yeah. It is funny now that you mention it that Ellen talks a big talk, but she doesn't always have the cutlery there immediately at hand to display like Kalene does.
That's just the one. I have like my throwing knives, and I have my tiny one, and I have this other one here.
Yeah, but it's not the samurai sword. I believe Ellen's usually packing, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remind me to get all my edits virtually from Kalene and not in person.
not in striking distance.
Well, I'll tell you, for my regular books, which I really haven't mentioned up till now, I've got 4 novels out in a single set. My editor for those was Jessica West, and
reload Jessica. Sorry.
When I had 2 submissions for 2 different Peralta anthologies, and Ellen Campbell edited one, and Jessica edited the other. And Jessica was far more vicious than
really.
Ellen was. Yeah,
Ellen's slipping.
God, you should see it.
That's slipping into sociopath territory at that point.
Well, I mean, look, I love both. I love all 3 of these ladies. They have taught me quite a bit about my writing, which sucks, but is getting well.
And the difference is Ellen will be really brutal on the actual uses of the language and the nuance and things like that.
Right.
But I have other editors that are far worse when they get into your like story development or the premise or the way the plot's going. And that can be that's a different type of editor induced brutality.
Yeah, because some editors, the developmental side, they're more like designers, and Ellen's more of an engineer. She's about the structure as opposed to the form.
And she's really good with you're not saying what you think you're saying, and that's something that I think is really important because a lot of times we're not saying what we think we're saying.
Yeah, she's really good. She's just not nice about it.
Well, she was really, I guess, I don't know. It depends on the stories I wrote. I guess I must have done a better job on the one that she edited on the first draft than the one that Jessica got her claws into.
It also depends on how you take feedback because Ellen's not really mean. She's just super direct.
She's blunt.
It's
not
really
appreciate.
She's not being mean. She's not beating around the bush. So if you as a writer are able to take criticism, better, then it probably doesn't seem as bad.
And
some people are shocked.
there's nothing quite like being on the editorial team of an anthology, because you get to see the whole spectrum of how people take criticism.
Yeah.
And
I bet.
there's a substantial difference between the pros and the new authors. And I found it fascinating. And I think the more credentialed a new author is, the more difficult it can be to work with them.
I believe that.
Yeah, I just say right out of the gate, if you're going to work with me, you know, if I feel like there needs to be a change, it's going to be bleeding. If if I have a suggestion on, chapter 3, cut it.
I
will literally tell you,
doing
cut
your
chapter
job any other way. You wouldn't be doing your job if you did it any other way. That's from dealing with editors and stuff all these years, I can tell you. And the new writers thing, I mean, I've seen people like in writers groups and things like literally like bow up on somebody for criticism over a story because they're just young and didn't know any better, and their perfect golden words did not need to be criticized in any way, shape, or form, no matter how crappy they were.
Well, I think that can be true with new authors, but it also can be true with authors that have just not had that type of editing for, especially in the indie realm where you get whatever edits you get and you publish, but you can definitely have authors that have been doing this for 5, 6, 7, 8 years and are maybe past the time that they think they should be learning new things or changing what they're doing. I've felt this way on several different edits that I've got where, I remember working with Richard Fox like 4 years ago, 4 years ago now, and just reading his edits going, oh my God, I can't. But then when you just put all that aside and you start working through it, and then you get to the end of the project, like all of that stuff made the work better.
That's always the goal.
Right.
I just want to shine it and make it better. Like, you built the statue. Let me just take my polishing stuff and go in there.
I talked to, I was having a conversation probably a month or so ago with a fairly successful trad pub author, and he talked about the editing process. If you're doing like a major trad pub bookstore book, is way more rigorous, that you can expect to rewrite that entire book multiple times.
Absolutely.
And you have to do it or you don't get paid and you never get published again. And so you can't be a prima donna. You can't be precious. They say changes and you have to do it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot different. Now we're running the bus as indies. We're like, nah, screw that. I'm doing what I want. Bye.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons trad pub is so slow and takes them so long to get a project out,
Yeah.
Well, I was a friend, like when I was doing National Novel Writing Month, I was one of the municipal liaisons there. So they're the ones that organize all the meetups and everything. I did that for about 10 years. And one of the people there had a 4-book publishing deal. And it took them, no kidding, 3 years to get the first book out.
Ouch.
It wasn't their problem. It was their publishing house.
Yep.
And she said that she rewrote it something like 4 times. And I'm sitting there going, how is that unless your editor is basically trying to write a book through you?
And I think a lot of it is the fact that traditional houses these days, they don't, the mid-list author is gone, and they're always trying to take the seed of a book that they get from somebody and turn it into that big splash project. So all these editors they're not interested in making it the best book it can be. They're interested in making it the next big thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of what happens.
Well, it's a perverse incentive. I mean, they are trying to maximize the profit for the corporation and thus keep their job.
Exactly.
Whereas an indie author is trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
Their way. And they're trying to put out their story. And secondarily, the profit motive.
Yeah,
but frankly, I would rather make less money and know that the story I put out there was the one I wanted to write.
Absolutely.
And the editor's job from that perspective is to not change the trajectory of the story, but make it the best possible story. And that's what I feel about it. But hey, I'm a cranky guy that's retired, and I don't necessarily need to live off my author income. So
right there with you, brother.
I think we're all in that cranky realm.
Oh yes.
On various. So you have 2 anthologies out now, and the rumor is you're planning a third.
There is a third, and the formal announcement will come out on the 1st of May. But I'll be happy to tell you the subject matter right now.
KSM exclusive first. You heard it here.
Boom! Here.
That's right. Volume 3 of the Moe's anthology will be about asteroids.
Nice.
Everything about asteroids. Living on them, mining, impacts, everything about it. And the asteroid has to be one of the central things. It can't be, well, the asteroid hit here 100 years ago and we're still trying to recover. No. That won't fly. We want you to cover the impact, or we want you to cover how you're mining it.
I've got a great idea for a deep core mining team that has to go on these really cool, expensive prototype space shuttles to put a nuclear missile on the asteroid.
You beat me to it. Armageddon, baby.
So, yeah, all that thing. Space Guard, that Clarkian concept where everyone's out looking for near-Earth objects, and we're trying to figure out how to divert them, all that good stuff. So really dig out the science. Dig out, hey, would a mission to put soot on a comet actually divert it from a certain impact 50 years from now? The answer is yes, but believe it or not, if you put soot on a comet, the variation in solar pressure is enough to move it away.
And what?
How much soot?
Yeah, that would be a lot of soot.
Yeah, well, enough to make it black on one side and white on the other.
So not just Josh's expelled coffee grounds is not enough.
That's right. I like Corey's idea, pathetic impact of valor.
I think that if we could divert a comet using KSM coffee grounds, it would be good for our brand, and we'd sell a lot of coffee.
Absolutely would.
We would sell so much coffee.
By the way, it's asteroids, not comets.
That's what I
mean. There was a question earlier on that I've been hovering on, and I'm just going to show it.
Ready to go.
I'm just going to do that. Silent Wolf asks, my question for Bill, what if I want to write FTL? Do I just not if I also want to write hard sci-fi?
Hang on. I got to pick up the phone and take off the glasses, and could you show that thing again?
Yep. So he's basically asking, can you have faster than light travel in a hard sci-fi and still write hard sci-fi?
One of the things that I want to do with this Moe's franchise, as it were, is I would love to have a series that we call One Big Lie, where you can write FTL, but everything else is real. Okay.
That sounds kind of fun, actually.
But if it's 5.5, it's got to be really, really close to reality.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
So no warp 10.
Yeah. You know what? My answer to that is make Moe's successful. Bye. And we'll do One Big Lie, and we'll see how that flies.
That does sound fun.
It's all flexible. It's awesome.
What are the parameters for your submissions? What do you like to see word-wise and length? That's what I meant. Word count.
Word count.
Well, right now, you'd be surprised at the word counts that are in Volume 2. They're pretty high. I mean, we got them up to 9,000. So I'm not really...
I had up to 9,000?
Yeah.
Man, I tried to keep that thing under 6. I'm so mad.
Well, I mean, I would prefer it under 6 because then the stories are much more accessible. It's something that you can read in an hour and then come back to Moe's on and off. Yeah. But I'm not averse to a longer one. It makes the paperbacks more of a doorstop, but ebooks, you can have a very long ebook if you want.
I prefer to take the word count and then
ignore it.
I just like, that's nice that you have this thing here. I'm just gonna go do over here.
I never understood numbers that well.
He loves that.
Yeah. I think Josh's attitude towards word counts are, oh, that's so cute.
That's so cute.
Well,
again, more is better, right?
That's right. More is
that's
always
the freedom
better.
of an ebook, is that you can actually stretch this stuff out as much as you want.
We just like to
and-
over deliver.
Right.
I'm kidding. That's
Yeah.
totally terrible. No, you should always try to meet the submission guidelines,
right,
when you can, if you want to get
but
accepted.
I mean, the word count's kind of like the last thing we look at, and it's more of a guideline so that we don't get novellas in the mail. Okay, and we really don't want that.
And are you looking for already edited stories, or are you gonna provide that service as well for these other ones, or do you want? I know Kalene does. She loves getting first drafts.
Stop it.
Gives her more reasons to sharpen her knives.
That's right.
Well, here's how we do it. And I think my submission process is it's designed to be as fair as possible to the writer. And what I do with those, and this is the way it's been designed. And by the way, all of this is in it's on the Facebook group. Look for Mo's 5.5 anthologies. And I've got a couple of manifestos out there that lay out the philosophy behind all of this. But the submission process, Dan will take the submission and copy the text into a file and strip out all of the identifying characteristics. I don't care who the author is. I don't care what demographic they belong to. I don't care. I mean, I do, but you know what I'm saying by I don't care. I don't want it to be part of I don't want your name. I don't want your demographic. I don't want to know what your hobbies are or anything else like that. It's just pure meritocracy as much as we can do that. And Dan then sends them to, well, in this case, it'll be Kalene and I. Dan does not take part in the decision as to whether or not we publish it. Okay. So unless Kalene and I are deadlocked, then he gets a vote. But generally speaking, the good ones, in volume 2, Felix and I agreed what the good ones were. Yeah, these are good. Let's publish them.
I think that's a great way to do it.
Now, what we do is we want your first 500 words. And there's 2 reasons behind that. One is if we're intrigued within 500 words, so will the reader. Okay. True. And the second one is, can you write the beginning of a story? And this, and the reason we're doing that's informed by about 3 things. One is, like I said, for years, I tried doing trad stuff. I have 43 short stories that are not published because I entered 43 different contests. And the way it happens in the trad world is you had to complete the work, right? So you had to do a complete story and submit that. And if they didn't like it, that's 100% wasted work. Okay. So you send us your first 500, which you can dash out in an hour and pour over. And it's really a small increment of the work. And if we like it, we'll tell you. If we think it needs to be adjusted, we'll tell you. And you'll get and the thing is, it reduces the load on the editors. We only have to read 500 words. Okay. And frankly, in the trad world, that's all they read anyway. They want the whole thing, but they only read 500 words. So, hey, let's read 500 words. That's all the work you do. If we like it, great. If we think you're on the wrong track and you can adjust it, we'll let you know, and you've not wasted any work. Okay. Nice. So you get an answer back. You get feedback back, and then you go ahead and continue to produce the rest of the story. A very short side note. I don't know how much time I've got, but I think this one's relevant. I was approached by a pretty decent sized author who wanted to basically do the James Patterson version of writing. And he said, well, you produce the entire book, the entire
novel. I'll put my name on the cover.
And I'll put my name on the cover. Yeah. And now I'll tell you what's hysterical is that last night I happened to be reading an old Larry Niven story called Hunting Wabbit. and the title character Wabbit had proposed that to a novelist.
Yeah.
That, you know, here's a great idea. You write the whole thing, and if I like it, I'll put my name on the cover with you,
Right.
and we'll split the profits. Well, that's kind of the deal that I got. And I said, whoa, ho, 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 how about if I do an outline? And if you like that, you know, we can tweak it so that, you know, at the end, you don't really have to do as much because the book, you and I have collaborated on it all the way through. And he goes, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, pass.
Yeah, kind of lazy.
Good call.
Yeah. And he said, well, you know, if I turn you down, you still have a novel to put out. I'm like, now the first thing is, it wasn't.
Arrogance, my God.
Yeah.
You can't, if you don't have time to read an outline, then you don't have time to collaborate.
Yeah, and it's the thing that amazed me was that they thought that was a viable concept, and I'm like, no, I don't think so. But that experience informed me, as well as my trad experience. I said, let's be fair to the author by saying, give me 500 words of your concept, and if that doesn't fit, then you need to know now before you crank out another 6,500.
Yep.
You know, and spend a month on it. And that's just, no, that's how we do it. So, you know, things like the gentleman or I say gentleman, that's just a default thing. The person who asked the question about FTL, 500 words of FTL. And I'd be like, no, you can't do that. Figure out some other way of doing it. So
awesome.
Yeah, that's how we do it. Don't know who you are, where you came from. You know, let's see what the work is.
Well, we're excited to see this latest project come out. We're a big fan of anthologies. I always like to be a part of them. I'm getting ready to start planning out a story for Chris Kennedy's latest anthology. Putting together was fun. We've done a few here at KSM. Yeah, Kalene has what I like about Kalene's artwork is not only does she have the covers from our anthologies, but those little plaques are her entire story shrunk down into like super tiny text.
Like 1.65 of a 10.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So anthologies are always fun. I love to be a part of them. Where can people go to submit or to find? I linked the Facebook group, the Mo's 5.5 anthology Facebook group in the live chat. But if people are looking to submit to you, what's the easiest place to go?
Well, right now we put up a mailbox for each version. Okay, so keep your eyeballs out on that on the Mo's group, because when we do the official announcement on the 1st of May, that's where the email box will be.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
and I've linked that it's the Mo's 5.5 anthologies. It's in the live chat. It'll be in the show notes as well.
And I'll link it to the group once it goes a fish for submissions. I'll make sure to be like, hey, y'all out there, hard sci-fi, do it. And
cool.
we won't know. See, that's the coolest thing though, is we will have no idea who belongs to the story. So it's purely your words that we're looking at. So, you know, when we like, if we give you a no-go, I will have no idea who I'm saying no to. So,
right on.
There's that.
Bill, well, first of all, Kalene, phenomenal guest hosting job on live.
Of course,
as always.
I tried.
Bill, thanks for coming on the show, man. You're mostly more awake.
Yeah, I really apologize for the technical issues and the poor photo, smartphone stuff.
Hey, look, if Scott can do it, anybody can do it.
Exactly.
I'd love to come back, and actually, if one of the things, and I'm not trying to drag this out, and I know that you're wrapping up, but one of the things that Mo's does that we do is we are absolutely transparent on sales figures to the authors, sales figures, what you're getting, what I'm getting, all that sort of thing. Okay. I do not, and none of the editors get paid for editing or for any of our work. Okay. We submit stories just like you do. We get paid exactly the same as you do. Okay. So, I will happily give you all of the data that I get from Amazon on that.
And he really does. It's like at least almost every day, he'd be like, here's the numbers for today. I'm just like, sweet. There was one, I do want to say this on the Mars one. There's this moment on the bestseller for new release anthologies that we're in the number 2 spot, and the number 1 spot was this like alien romance anthology. And we're just like, we have to beat the alien romance.
It could be hard sci-fi as long as you stick with the facts.
It could be hard sci-fi.
Hey, I wasn't going there. I was actually going through. I was actually staying on the right side of the gutter. Come on, man.
I'm not the only one.
No, I jumped right in.
That's what happens. Beards make you.
We did hit number 1 there for about a day. So
well, that's awesome. Congrats.
We legit hit number 1. So
cool.
Silent Wolf wants to know when the story's due date.
All that will come out on May 1st. We've got the whole announcement planned. So we're just giving you a heads up that it's going to be announced. All the details will be there. So
this was the announcement for the announcement.
This is the announcement for the announcement. So stay tuned for May 1st.
Sneak peek.
That's right.
You know, for the detail, hey, we got to leave something unsaid. So for the details, you got to look for the actual announcement.
So just know asteroids, science, real science. Good stuff.
With everybody that's in the live chat, let's see if I missed anybody. But thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us on this Monday morning. As always, if you're listening on the audio feed, you didn't know we had a live feed. Monday morning, 10 a.m. Central-ish is when we have our live show. Kalene will be back next month with story time. And then on Friday, what do you guys have going on?
What do we have going on? Ooh, is that the last Friday? Is this the last Friday of the month?
Last Friday, yes.
Okay, we have Ellen Campbell coming on, and we are going to be doing Ask the Editor live edits.
Nice.
So we are going to be blending Ask the Editor into the writer's journey. So the last Friday of every month, I think, is what we decided, is when we're going to be doing those live edits that we did just a few weeks ago. I'll read them. Ellen's editing them. We'll give you feedback. So make sure you can send in stuff. The first page of whatever that you want.
Do you just want them to email or private message?
To email, I think it's Ellen Campbell. I'll find it.
We'll put it in the show notes for you.
Yes.
If you'd like your blood and soul ripped apart online.
Stabby episode.
Stabby McStab face.
As Leo says, by the fates of editing.
That's right.
I love that. The 3 fates of KSM.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did I miss? Where did you put that at? Did I miss that?
He was talking about Kalene, Lauren, and Ellen.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he calls us the fates. So
nice.
We've sort of sucked it.
Everybody, thank you again so much for hanging out with us on this Monday morning. We're going to be back next week. We have a guest, and now I can't remember who it is, and I didn't write it down. I'm going to have to do some research.
You should write it down on that fancy paper pad thing.
I know. Fancy...
So jealous.
It's great.
I want one.
I'll figure it out. I'll put it in the group. You guys know how I am. We'll be back next week. We're going to talk about some reading. We're going to talk about some writing, and, of course, everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium.
Peace, folks.